Hey everyone, we need to create a new Equippable collection for a test of 3D assets. So let's see how it goes. So I always start from the template, use this template as a new repository. Call these cubes test DVM. And then clone it locally. Just open it. Start all dependencies. That's it. And now we go to the wizard. So this will be cubes. I'll just call them 3D cube. Like this. I don't think that's a good name. Let's just call them cubes. So it's equipable. It will be pre-minted. Let's see if I use ready to use, I will include this. But it forces me to use token URI per token if I use ready to use. I don't want that, so I will remove it. And I will just, as token URI, I will use the first asset. And then I want to auto accept some children. I think that's all for it. If this was not for testing, I will probably add the ERC20 holder, just in case. You might be interested in enumerable if you don't want an indexer, but not for this. So I'll just copy the code. I'll replace these cubes. And I don't need a nesmint method actually, so let's remove it. This should be fine. And on mint, I actually want to mint with a specific asset, so I don't have to do multiple calls. So let's do asset start. Asset ID. Then after minting it, I will just add asset to token. I here is token, asset ID, it will replace nothing. Add asset to token. You would usually accept it, but this inherits from an implementation base, which already has this auto accept mechanism in place. Well, I don't see it here, but I know it has it. So I'll just omit accepting it because it will auto accept the first asset. But that's it for this method. Now let's see if for the child there will be cores. So CR. And I'll kind of do the same actually. I don't need auto accept children because it's a child already. And they're not soulbound. Yeah, I don't need anything else. So let's create a new one here. Course. Also don't need nesmint, and I will actually use the same minting method as in here. I actually should update the metadata. Sorry, the documentation. Forgot the extension. Okay, so I think we have our two contracts, but before actually replacing this, I should have gone to the deploy script. So I already have the metadata here. Let me get it. Oops. Okay, so I'll copy it into the metadata folder. I already have the metadata pin for this. So if I go back to the wizard, the collection should be here. Let's leave it as unlimited. Well, actually, put some max supply. Royalty receivers will be the deployer, and I will use 2 scripts because I want to deploy multiple contracts. So I'll just copy this into the implementation, into the deploy scripts. Deploy methods. There are some redundant imports here. Replace them, and I will include core here. If I compile, I should get the typeshin types, I think. Or maybe I need to call typeshin. Let's check. So I have a method here to deploy core. Let's go back to the wizard to have the one for cubes. Should have done this first. So for cubes, the metadata is in a slightly different place. Let's see. Cube collection. Let's leave the rest just as that. And let's copy the deploy cubes. Again, I don't need all these imports, but I do need cubes. Okay, so I have everything ready to deploy both collections. That's the easy part. And actually, okay, but actually we want to run this. So that's what the second script is for. So we'll just copy this code and replace it on run deploy. I will also import like core. It should be cores actually. Yeah, this is core. Oh no, I name it core. Never mind. Okay. So, okay. So I'll deploy here. These methods will take care of adding it to singular and verifying it. I remove this import by error. Okay. And first thing I want to do here is I want every core which is minted into, which is nested into a cube to be auto accepted. Okay, that's the so that's the basic deploy part. Now we will want to configure all assets and catalog and everything. So I actually also need to deploy a catalog. This already exists here, and I need to pass it some data. So first is the catalog metadata URI. I also have it here. Usually I would put this into constants. Actually, let's do that. So this is it. We will use this for a lot more things. I know I will use a lot more, so I got C, and I will also want catalog type to be defined in constants. In this case, it's model something. Let me double check. Okay, this is the type. I want the catalog. That's good. Okay, now there's a few things I need to do next, and I need to add. This one will have just a simple slot, so I will need to add a method to configure a slot. Then I also and also a fixed part for the parent cube. This is just a test, so we just have a one version, and need to add also assets for the children and configure equipability. So let's start by adding our assets here. So actually, well, we have a slot part. I like to give IDs starting from 1000 to slots, so they don't collide easily with fixed parts. So this is, let's say, 4 part by per slot. 4 ID. Then I have also a fixed part. Fixed part cube ID. Let's just give it a 1. And I also want the metadata for those two. Something like this. So for the parent, this is it. Sorry, this is the parent. And for the core, let's see, we have slot part. Oh, it's just this. I could have a media URI here if I want a fallback, but it's not the case. So we just need to set the name there. Okay, we have the slots. I think we have everything we need to configure our catalog. Let's create a method here. So we'll receive a catalog here. And I think we also need some address, but let's see. So I want, yeah, it's fine. So I want to add a part. Actually, I want let's just do it one by one. So let's see what we need. Well, I remember we need part ID. Let's also import this here. So this one is for fixed. Yeah, let's create the fixed first. And then for the part, it's this struct. So let's see how it should look like. Oh, no, not here. Okay, I should have. Okay, metadata URI, we have it. So this is for the cube. This is the other parameter we need. So we can, on the creation on the part, define what addresses, what collections can be equipped into this slot. So let's add it already. Address. So we can see it here. We can also add them later, but we already have them, so no point. Item type, it should be float. I don't remember the number, so let's add it there. And then let's see, index 4. Something wrong here. Oh. Okay, I need to define these things. Let's go back to constants. Okay, so slot part, let me quickly check EVM docs. So, have a look. Is it item type? Yeah. So it's item type, so 0 is known, 1 for slot, 2 for fixed. Okay, now we want our index for cubes. I guess, I don't know how this works on 3D. I think this makes sense. I will ask anyway in the meantime. Okay, so we have our fixed part. And then let's add the other one. See how smart this was. In this case, Equippable is empty. So this is the part for the core. This one, actually, this one is fixed. The parent is fixed. And the core is slot. Okay, it's good. So we have our catalog configured. Let's call this on our deploy. Now we want to add the assets. Okay, so let's see, we have some assets. Let's add the constants first. So for hypercube, we have this one. And then for items, we have 7 of them. I could do this programmatically, but I don't want. That's it. So I'll just copy paste them. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. That should be it. And that's all metadata I need, I think. I'm just thinking something. I have a full cube here. So this is the thumbnail for the cube. Yeah, as I imagine, this is the same. So actually I don't need something for the parent because I will compose it. So let's go back to our deploy methods. Forgot to export this. As it, so we will need actually cubes, course, and the catalog. Okay. So in asset to cubes, just a single asset. So this is equippable asset entry. So here I don't mind the equippable group ID because this is only for children which are meant to be equipped into something, which is not the case. I don't need the catalog address because I will use actually I'm not sure if this metadata URI will be used. I think it's unnecessary. So it will be composed. No. I do need this. Sorry. I actually need this one because that's where I will get like name and description. So I actually also have to pin this one. And it will also work backwards compatibility for other marketplaces. And then this is the more important. I need to use both slots, so the fixed parts will be used to compose it, which of just a single part, and the slot part for cubes to be equipped. Then I also want to add. I don't want to do this 7 times. Okay. So quickly for this. I don't need this. So equippable group ID, I will need it. Actually, let's say for equippable group ID. I actually don't need the catalog here. I have this one, and I will not use slots. I will not use parts. Okay, let's find this here in our constants. Closer to the parts. I actually like to define equippable group ID to the same slot part ID. It makes it easier to match later, but you can set anything. So I have them. Now one last thing pending. So for equips to work, we need 3 things. We need the catalog to define a slot. We already added here, which is the core, and we need it to sort of have this allow list of children which can be equipped into it. Then I need the parent to have the slot part ID. It has it here. And finally, I need the children collection to declare its intention to be equipped into the parent. So I will do one final call. So, sorry, my cat is moving around. So I want first to set a valid parent for Equippable group ID. I have the Equippable group ID here. The parent address is cubes, and the part ID is this one. And I think that's it. Let's call this here. Okay, all set. I think we should be able to mint now. So, see if this works. Actually, all this after auto accepting collection. Usually I will do the mint somewhere else, but let's just test it here. So, cubes dot mint. Let me get the deployer here. Actually logged it, so I've lost tons of time because I was running something with the wrong account. So don't be like me. So we want to mint to deployer address. Let's mint to 4 and asset ID. Should also have this in a constant, but for the sake of the test, let's just leave it because we only added a single asset in this case, and it was the first one added, so it will be number 1. If you notice this await, make sure to do await after every call. Some blockchains are fine with this. They can like run one thing and after the other, but some slower blockchains, if the first one, like if this one for instance depended on the previous one, it may have issues, so it may revert. So I'll just add it everywhere. It's a good practice. Cubes. Oh, I actually want Nest Mint in cubes, right? Of course. Did I remove it? I did. Let me take it back. So I actually would rather have Nest Mint instead of Mint for this one. But I need minimal implementation. Let's copy. So core. I actually want an asset ID here. Add it also here. Live is easier with Copilot. And then we just add asset token. So token ID is I. It replaces nothing, and this has auto accept. Let's compile, so we get this method. So now let's call a few minutes. So for Nest Mint. So I want the destination is actually cubes address. It's a collection. Let's mint one by one. And I want destination ID. Let's see, this one is also 1. And asset ID, say I want the first asset, but this looks terrible. Doesn't make much difference, but it does to me. So I think that's it. Oh, actually, expiring ID clear. Okay, one thing we could do is instead of minting one by one, we could pass asset IDs. So for each of them, it adds them a new one, so we don't have to call this multiple times. Let's actually do that. So I won't receive number to mint, but asset IDs will determine the number. So that's it. So let me put. Okay, so mixing languages here. Number to mint here, just that specific asset. This is much more friendlier for what we want to use now. Let's go back. So cubes, this is no longer. Let's mean this. And then let's say let's reduce it. So a couple to this one. Go again. Let's do another one. Okay, you should usually run tests for this stuff, but I'll just go with it. I'll deploy it on hardhead first. Actually, if I don't specify any networks, I will use hardhead. So something's wrong. But config on the catalog. Let's see why this happens. Okay. Right. If it's fixed, I cannot have equippable children into it. So let's see where we're doing it wrong here in the catalog. Actually, it's where when we are configuring it. Yes, this one goes here. Let's give it one more try. Okay, negative index. Something's wrong here. I think I know what it is. So, of course, yeah, it's not I. Here I actually had to subtract next token because that's where it starts from. So I must start reading asset IDs at index 0. And then I simply run the deploy again. Everything works well. Let me show you how it looks in Singular. So here I'm using the wardrobe reviewer from one of the cubes. And yep, equipping works.